Hello, everyone. Prior to the 6th Medical Device and Portfolio Management Conference being held this July 21st through the 22nd, online and fully engaged, I am honored to share with you an exclusive interview with one of our key speakers. My name is Elizabeth Thurgaland, and I'm the conference producer, bringing together medical device PMO professionals to maximize value, leadership, innovation, agility, with strengthened processes of prioritization and resources. Today with us is Dr. Michael O'Connor, Director, Strategy and Project Management with Medtronic Corporate Science and Technology in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Dr. O'Connor, thank you so much for offering your time with this interview today.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Dr. O'Connor has over 18 years of experience with Medtronic and over 30 years of professional experience within the medical device industry. He has also been selected as Medtronic Technical Fellow and as a Biomedical Engineering Society Fellow, among many other memberships and institutions. And with that, we will just dive right into the questions. So, you are speaking at our conference on a topic titled Coordinating Portfolio Management to Include Open Innovation Opportunities. Can you give me one example of a way that you have seen this manifest within your organization successfully through the past year?
Yeah, so great question. So thank you. So last year being the pandemic, we've all pivoted to the virtual remote system that we're using right now. And we've been able to move our innovation opportunities forward by doing good portfolio management. So some of the things I work on are really on the front end of the product life cycle. So they are before, typically they go to product development. And we've been able to take things and create portfolio management, even during the pandemic, that makes sense and organize things to put these innovations in front of leadership and get them through the system and get them out to where they need to be to our patients ultimately. So I would say we've had a successful experience in doing that without calling any platforms or any kind of projects. We pivoted in a way that we just really started doing good portfolio management to manage these innovations. And we do a lot of things based on a book by Franz Johansson, or two books, called The Click Moment and the Medici Effect. So where he says you should be creating a lot of bets. So don't just put all your things in a couple areas, put them in a lot of areas, and hopefully through that funnel system, a couple of those things come out of the innovation and you'll have some success. And that's kind of how we've been doing our portfolio management, is based on that click moment and the Medici effect.
Interesting. I made a note of that, and I will definitely have to be checking those books out. Second question for you: in your current role as Director, Strategy and Project Management with Medtronic, what do you find to be the greatest roadblock to implementing innovative ideas?
Yeah, that's another great question. I think, for me personally, it's finding the time. So there's a lot of things that take all of our attention, but when it comes to innovation, we have a certain amount of time to work on innovation, but what does that really mean? That means you have a lot of day-to-day activities that you have to get done, and innovation many times is kind of an afterthought or something that you do when you get everything else done. So I've been trying to figure out ways to use my time better to get these innovative ideas out there. And so I've been looking at things like working with external partners, working with internal partners in the enterprise, working with universities and other partnerships. So I would say, initially it's my time, but it's like anything with email or anything else. Can you delegate those out to other areas that can get those kickstarted and at least prove some feasibility to get that going? There's a lot of ideas. There's more ideas than there is time. And I think that also comes back to taking those innovative ideas and putting those into a portfolio hopper and being creative with the priority and which ones are at the top and which ones maybe are at the bottom, and then trying to, move those forward in different ways. But you really have to be able to delegate that. If you try to do it all yourself, I'll never have the time ever to do this. And I looked at 3M and how they do things, where they do carve out some of that innovation time for all their employees. And so I look at that, and I've met Art Fry, who invented the Post-it note, and I've had many conversations with him to talk about this. And it's not easy. If it was easy, a lot of companies would be doing it and they'd be moving it forward. But I think it really comes down to good time management and being able to delegate those things out to the people that can really get something done.
That's awesome advice. I certainly agree. I think sometimes I have a great idea, but I know I'm not the person to do it. So, okay. So another question for you here. You recently wrote an article in PM World 360 magazine titled Leadership Innovation, Project Management, Empowering the Next Generation of Leaders, in which you reference the Myers-Briggs personality test and how leadership is the basic building block for successful, innovative projects and outcomes. So I am curious how you and your organization use that information internally, and specifically in regards to strategizing on partnered projects.
Yeah, again, another really good question. The Myers-Briggs is something I had taken back in the early 2000s. So I know I'm an ENTJ, which is synonymous with project managers and those type of people. Even in the role that I'm in, my boss had asked me, what is your Myers-Briggs indicator? So those are good things to know. And I think, with the team, you need to figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. And that Myers-Briggs is a good way to figure that out. And so I took that in the early 2000s. I've recently taken that a couple times again, and I'm still an ENTJ. So that's good news. But I would also add to that, like the Strengths Finder 2.0. What are your strengths? My top strength is a learner. What are the rest of the team's strengths? So you can kind of get a flavor as to where their passions are, because you want a team that comes in every day and they're passionate about what they do. If you don't know what they're passionate about, then you're just guessing, and you don't have that conversation. So I think the Myers-Briggs is a good tool. And then I think the Strengths Finder is a good tool. But ultimately, you want to be able to get to a good, well-organized, articulated, concise project team. And that does take good leadership. So that leader that's leading that, you really need to know how they work and how they tick. And those things really help. So you could go a lot deeper in that, but I think that really helps organize the team and gets those successful outcomes. And, even just recently, I went online and took about another 6 or 7 free personality tests to get a flavor of who I am and what I am. And it still kind of is in that Myers-Briggs ENTJ, and a lot of the other things are, basically where I thought I would be. So I think those are things that you can do on your own time and your own effort. I was introduced to these personality tests in a graduate class that I took, way back when, and it had 17 different personality tests. So, it's good to know who you are. I keep it on my CV as to all my different personality tests, and I can share that with people at any time. But again, I think that Myers-Briggs is one of the better ones to know who's who and what makes you tick and get you up every day and get you passionate about what you do.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So finally, what are you most looking forward to in attending this year's 6th Medical Device Project and Portfolio Management Conference?
Yeah, so I've been to, yes, so thank you. I've been to this conference before, face-to-face and online. And the first thing that I like is networking. I've created some really good networks with even some competitors, since it's a medical device conference. The other thing is I get to learn from a lot of experts that are giving presentations like I am, or people that are just there. So I think it's a time to really reflect. I mean, this is a narrow group of people in the medical device portfolio arena. I don't get a lot of time to meet those people. If I go to other conferences, they're so big, it's hard to pick those people out. So now I get to get into real specifics about people that work in a regulated industry, work in the same issues that I have, same problems. So I'm excited really to network and to learn a lot more, since learning is my top strength finder, to learn from people and hear about what they have to say and how they do things.
Great. I'll have to take that strength finding test too. I think I'm a learner too, but I'll have to double check.
Yeah, no, it's a good test. I've taken that a couple times, and mine does change from time to time on the strengths finder. So interesting test, but again, good information just to know where you're at and what drives your passion. And it's just one test. That's why I like to take many and then kind of pull that all together and say, well, here's here's where I'm at right now, and here's what makes me tick. So, so good information.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you again so much for your time today for this interview and preparation and getting us excited for your presentation at our event in July. If anyone has any questions about attending, feel free to hit me up, and we'll get going with it. Thank you so much, Michael, and I'll see you again soon.
Great. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Bye.
Bye-bye.